Okay, hopefully we are live, guys. And before we get to the mock drafts, I have some big announcements to make. So please, please, please hear me out. Okay, so y'all know I've been trying to get us to start these Dynasty startup drafts for quite a while now. Pretty much the entire offseason, I've been prioritizing trying to get the spots that were open across all flock leagues. We run 10 Dynasty flock leagues currently, and we had a decent amount of people leave those leagues because I'm assuming that when they were created during quarantine, during the full-on pandemic, people just joined way too many leagues where they didn't have the time for it. So we had a decent amount of openings, but now we only have about 6 or 7 left. And these teams aren't necessarily the best, and I think 2 or 3 of them have their $30 deposits, which is half the league dues for this year. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to try to get these filled right away. So every team that is still available, I'm going to cover the $30 deposit regardless of if someone actually made it or if it's coming out of my own pocket. And also, if you have been wanting to join Patreon but you haven't been able to because there are no original flock tiers left, if you want to take over one of these orphan teams, see our rookie rankings, get in a league with us, and possibly do a startup draft later this offseason, if you shoot me a DM on Twitter, shoot me a DM on Discord, wherever y'all want to, letting me know that y'all want to join one of those leagues, then I can go through and I can open up a spot in the original Flock Patreon tier for y'all. So please just reach out to me with any questions, reach out to me with anything. Those teams are going to be available on Discord. If not, I'm sure y'all know where to find me on Twitter. I'm sure y'all know how to find me on Instagram, whatever y'all are doing, where y'all can come through and ask any questions. Okay. But anyway, let's go through. Let's pull up the live stream. And okay, we already have 20 people out here. Y'all have already dropped over like 10, 15 likes in the live stream. And we've been live for like 1 minute. So thank y'all so much, guys. Real quick, let me get y'all the link. And we are going to do these mock drafts very similar to what we've done in the past. Where, yes, I want to make sure that we can get some people from the general chat in these mock drafts and have an opportunity to practice drafting, to get on the stream and have me kind of make fun of your draft picks. But to go along with that, I want to make sure we are prioritizing the people on Patreon and giving them the first chance to get in these mocks. So for the first 2 or 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restrict it to sending the invite link out to anybody on Patreon. So I'm going to send this link to Patreon in the live chat right now. So if you're wanting in a mock, please go shoot me that DM and then I'll get you that invite link. And then later on in the stream, maybe when we switch over to some 1 quarterback rookie drafts, we can get some people from the general chat. All right, but anyway, let me send this out right now. Okay, so that Patreon link should be sent out. I know that we are on a little bit of a lag here, so hopefully everything works out. I'm sure that we already have people messaging us on Patreon to get invites to this mock draft. So let me go through, let me make sure that we have everybody all set up. And hopefully, I just realized that maybe we don't have the stream set up to share our screen right now. So let's just pray that it's going to work. That's all we need to do. Okay, so sending out these links, guys, please shoot me that DM on Patreon if you're wanting in this first mock draft. And also, while we do this, let me go through and let me just see if we have any general chat questions for everybody who came out at the very beginning. Okay, so let's go through. Alexander out here, McKinney Freese out here as well. He's saying he's watching from the golf course. Man, hope you have a great day of golf. Golf is something that I tried doing. My dad took me out when I was younger, saying, hey, this could be a good father-son bonding experience. And I ended up being so bad that he went, you know what, Mason, you're not worth my time. Not taking you back out here again. So yeah, horrible golfer. Driving range, pretty fun, but actually going to the course, I am abysmal. Okay, so Christ is King coming out, says, I have 7 picks in the first 16. Let's go. Man, that's absolutely massive. Is this a super flex or a 1 quarterback league? Because if it's a super flex league, then I'm a lot more excited about those picks. Okay, so Small saying, I got first pick in the draft. Same thing there. Is this a super flex league or a 1 quarterback league? Because that's going to be completely different. Smalls is asking, do I take Najee Harris or Travis Etienne first? There, if you look at my rookie rankings, we have Travis Etienne as our running back 1 overall. The main concern I had with Travis Etienne coming into the NFL was that he didn't profile to be a 3-down running back, that he did not have the overall size that was going to be mandatory for him to see 20 touches a game. But at his pro day, he really impressed us with what he weighed in at. By no means is he Najee Harris size, but I think he checked that box to have him number 1. Okay, so let's get these links out real quick on Patreon. Okay, sent those. Let me see if we have any more general chat questions as we wait for this mock draft to get filled. Okay, so let's go through, and Mark is asking, who do you think the Niners will take at 3? Okay, it's going to be very simple. Obviously, you're going to have Trevor Lawrence going off at 1. You're going to have Zach Wilson at 2, despite whatever Corey Davis says about Sam Darnold being the starter, despite whatever Sam Darnold dynasty owners want to tell you. Zach Wilson is going to the New York Jets at 2. If he's not going to the Jets at 2, he is going to a different team at 2 because someone's going to trade up. And then at 3, it's going to be strictly down to Justin Fields and Trey Lance. Now, I would imagine that the 49ers have Justin Fields ranked ahead of Trey Lance, but we can't say for certain. What we can say is it's going to be a quarterback. I know a lot of people also that own Jimmy Garoppolo in Dynasty want to come out and say, hey, look at the reports. They're still saying Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starter. And yeah, trust me, guys, I wish that was the case. I overdrafted, overpaid for Jimmy Garoppolo everywhere in Dynasty last offseason. So I'm kind of sitting here holding the bag, sitting here with no value to show for it. Yet we can at least be objective about it. We can at least be realistic and go, yo, you know what? If you trade 3 first-round picks to move up in the NFL draft, 100% of the time it's going to be a quarterback in today's age. I mean, I would be... I don't even know what I would think if we saw anything other than Trey Lance or Justin Fields at 3. Okay. Jason saying, I'm in an FFPC Superflex Dynasty started today. Typically, the top 8 or 9 picks are QB. I'm at 7th. Okay, so I will say that in FFPC, it's going to be a little bit different than a lot of other Dynasty formats in that it's not true Dynasty. It's a little bit more of a keeper league because you have to cut your rosters down to 14 at the end of every offseason. So here... it's going to be a lot harder to say what your first-round pick should be in a Superflex league, going with that stud quarterback or going with a bell cow running back. You're definitely not going with wide receiver in FFPC. But, Jason, man, I wish I had more experience playing the format, but I will say do not just take traditional Dynasty strategy and go into it. You have to look a little bit deeper than that. Okay, so now let's go through and let's send out our last links over on Patreon to get everybody in this mock draft. And then what I will do is I will send the link out in the general chat for anybody wanting to come out here and fill the last few spots. But thank you all so much who have decided to support the show on Patreon as of late. We have over 200 supporters now, so it is a good reason for me to continue to go out here and spend hours and hours and hours and hours every single day, waking up at like 6 a.m., going to bed at about 10 p.m., just working nonstop on all of the channels. I mean, if we are having people support the show on Patreon so I can buy lunch, we are perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's go through and see. Alexander is saying, I think the 49ers are targeting Travis Etienne. Hopefully, that's just a troll question. Hopefully, you're not being serious about that. Okay, let's go through. Dakota says, what do you think about trading back to the rookie QB4 and letting fate decide who you take since the non-T-Law quarterbacks are all in a similar tier? I'm completely fine with that, man. If you don't have a strong take on any of these quarterbacks, if you want to go, you know what, let's take our 102, 103, that's probably going to be a QB, move back to the 106, that's okay by me. I mean, if you think that Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson are all in the same tier, I can't blame you. And for fantasy in particular, I know a lot of people want to get excited about Zach Wilson, but he doesn't have the same rushing upside that you're going to see with the Trey Lance or Justin Fields. So I think they are extremely close. Okay, Joseph saying, make sure this is not going to be a snake draft. Make sure it's linear. Yes, sir. Let me go through and fix that real quick for you. Okay, that should be good. Let me send out any last links that we have for people on Patreon, and then I will send out the link for the mock draft in the general chat. But let's switch over to Sleeper real quick. Let's switch the screen. Come on. Please work. Please work. Guys, here's what's going to happen. Go down there, smash the like button. Give us some luck going. Let's make sure we can switch the screen. Okay, bam. It's working. Perfect. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. Looks like we should be good. Let me send this link out for y'all to take the last few spots that we have. Okay, perfect. And let's see if we have any other questions. Mark is saying, yeah, the amount of people that still fall for Coach Speak is hilarious. The Niners trading up tells you exactly the value of Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, especially if you look at the contract going, you know what, he really doesn't have any guaranteed money. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I want Jimmy Garoppolo to be the starter in 2021. I just find it very unlikely. Okay, Kevin is asking, as a Sam Darnold owner, what do I do? As a Sam Darnold owner, what you should do is you could see if you have any suckers that believe Sam Darnold is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets this upcoming year. Now, I think that the chances of that happening are very, very slim. And to go along with that, even if he's the starting quarterback, we look at Sam Darnold and we go, you know what? He's going to be the starting quarterback for one of the worst teams in the NFL, combined with the fact that he has really no rushing upside. So even if he is the starter, the floor and the ceiling combination is going to be very low. It's going to be hard to take Sam Darnold directly and then trade him for something that you want. I think a much easier way to go about it is take Sam Darnold, take a rookie pick, take a wide receiver, whatever you have, and then trade them in a package to get an upgrade at whatever rookie pick, whatever wide receiver, whatever quarterback you are desiring. That way you can just maximize your value. All right, but anyway, let's go through and let's start this mock draft. Perfect. Begin draft. This is going to be a super flex draft. Later on in the live stream, we will be doing one quarterback drafts at the same time. Okay, Deadpool's coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my man. I will get to that in 1 second. Let me make my first round pick real quick, and it's going to be kind of simple at this point. I mean, if you go over and if you look at our updated rookie rankings, I quite possibly need to move the quarterbacks a little bit higher. I probably need to move Justin Fields up as well as Trey Lance, just praying that one of the quarterbacks are going to fall to the San Francisco 49ers, because we understand that with Kyle Shanahan, with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, that would be such a fantastic spot. So now here we are looking between Justin Fields and Najee Harris. And if you look at our rookie rankings on Patreon, you're going to find that we do have Najee Harris currently at 3. But like I said, I've kind of been on the fence here after the Niners trading up. It really looks like they're probably going to be going with Justin Fields. And if that happens, I think Justin Fields does indeed leap over Najee Harris. And to go along with this, Najee Harris, we didn't get any of his pro day numbers. So this will be updated on Patreon. This will be updated in the rookie rankings. This is one reason I really like doing these mock drafts, because once you're on the clock, you actually have to sit here and think about the pros and cons of each player. But we are going to be going with Justin Fields over Najee Harris, despite what our current rookie rankings say. I will update those later today, I promise that. Okay. But anyway, Deadpool's, his donation question is, hey man, this league is nuts. Start 2 quarterbacks and a super flex, so start 3 quarterbacks. I have Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson already. I have the 101 and the 105. It's also start 2 tight ends. I was offered the 103 and the 106 for my 101 and Claypool. Any thoughts? Okay, so first off, man, I need to ask you, how many teams is this league? Is this a 10-team league? Is this a 12-team league? A 14-team league? That's going to make all the difference in evaluating these quarterbacks and trying to determine if stockpiling these guys is actually worth it. Because a major thing that people get wrong whenever they're playing in a 10-quarterback superflex league, even if it's as crazy as you're talking about, I mean, this is a little bit different, but I want to give this general piece of advice for everybody just getting into superflex. Guys, if you're looking at those 10-team quarterback leagues, what you're going to find is, because the league is so shallow, guys are going to go out there and try to hoard the quarterback position, going, you know what? This is going to be a way that I can soak up value later on. And in reality, they're going to have such a hard time trading those quarterbacks, because in a 10-team league, everybody probably has 2. But if it's a 12, if it's a 14-team league, then that strategy can be viable. But anyway, Deadpool comes out and says this is a 12-team league. No, man, here, if this is a 12-team league and you have to start 2 quarterbacks and you start another super flex, man, Trevor Lawrence is like a top 6 asset in one of those leagues. No, you need to be holding on to the 101 as tight as you can. I am completely fine just hoarding all of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence, and really making someone pay for them. So please, 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 man, hold on to it tight. Hold on to it tight unless you're getting a fantastic deal. Okay, but anyway, easily the number one thing that stands out of this first round is Paul getting Zach Wilson at the 109. Now, this should never happen. There should be no world where Zach Wilson in a superflex rookie draft goes behind Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, even Kyle Pitts. I don't care if this is tight end premium league or not. I mean, Zach Wilson at the 109 as the second quarterback off the board in the NFL draft at the 102 to the New York Jets. At least that's what we are currently presuming. I mean, that is fantastic value. Also, Kenneth Gainwell going off by Point God at the end of the first round. Kenneth Gainwell, also someone that I'm going to have to be moving up our rookie rankings on Patreon. I mean, the more you look at him, the more the overall profile is intriguing. I know I did come out here and say that those tier 2 running backs I don't have too much interest in. Now, Gainwell currently sits pretty low on our rookie rankings, where he's not even in this range. I think 111 is still a little bit too rich for me, but we will be moving him up. Okay, so now we are on the board at the 204, and we get sniped with Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, a wide receiver that averaged 150 receiving yards in the SEC at 21 years old. Then he comes out and has an extremely impressive 40-yard dash time that I wasn't even expecting. So I think we look at Elijah Moore at the 203 and go, you know what? That is fantastic value. But now we have to make a pivot, and I think what we are going to end up doing is we are going to be going down the board slightly to a wide receiver that I think is going to get first-round NFL draft capital. Now, this all is in one tier for our rookie rankings, so you can't go wrong with a few guys here. But my pick, as it stands, is going to be Terrace Marshall, who I think is going to be a late round 1, early round 2, real-life NFL draft pick. We know he has the profile, he has the size, he's young to go along with it. He stepped into that Jamar Chase role and looked extremely confident with it last season. So Terrace Marshall, I think at the 204 is going to be a pick that we can get excited about over some of these secondary running backs that I think other people would be reaching for. Okay, so Austin Howard coming out here, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing, my man. Really hope that you're enjoying the mock draft so far. We do this every weekend. I go through, talk about Dynasty Fantasy Football strategy as well as targets, sell high guys throughout the week. So hope you are enjoying it. Thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you everyone who's decided to go down there and drop a like on the live stream so far. It really makes a big difference. That's probably why Austin got recommended this live stream. But anyway, Mac Jones going off the board at the 205. And Mac Jones is a player that I've been on record saying I'm avoiding in Superflex leagues, except at this price. At this price, I think it's completely fair, because with Mac Jones, I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that he doesn't have any upside at all. If he can just come in and be a starting quarterback for 3 years, he is easily worth this 205 selection. My problem is when you have some other people ranking him ahead of players like Devontae Smith, ahead of players like Kyle Pitts, Javonte Williams, Jalen Waddle. I think that's where it gets a little bit crazy. Personally, I have Mac Jones actually ranked at the 205 in our current rookie Superflex rankings. So this is a fair price to pay. My only question is, what is the rushing upside, if any rushing upside, that Mac Jones possesses? Because that is where I think it's going to limit how high he can go. Okay, so Dakota is saying, yeah, he got sniped on Terrace Marshall. Yeah, Terrace Marshall and Mac Jones, honestly, probably pretty close for me. Mac Jones is someone that, if he does go to the Patriots, like with the 15th, 16th pick, then you can get excited. But I'm a little bit worried that NFL teams are going to be less excited about Mac Jones than some people in the Dynasty community are. And I'm worried that Mac Jones may fall to the early second like we saw with Jalen Hurts. Okay, but also let's point out Chuba Hubbard going off at the 210. Really like the pick of Chuba Hubbard here. And I will say that it's going to be polarizing. Chuba Hubbard is someone that was a top 5 favorite to win the Heisman going into 2020. And obviously, he had a horrendous season. If he would have came out as a true junior last year, I think he was a redshirt sophomore, whatever. After year 3 at Oklahoma State, Chuba Hubbard would have been a top 5 pick in rookie drafts in 2020. And that was with Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, CeeDee Lamb. It doesn't matter. Right now, Chuba Hubbard is going to either continue to rise up draft boards as you're seeing here, or if the NFL draft tells us that, hey, this is a 6th, 7th round selection, someone like Eno Benjamin, who had a massive fall off after his last year at Arizona State, and then he goes to the Arizona Cardinals at the very end of the draft. I think you could see Chuba Hubbard end up being a late 3rd round pick, or you could see him slide up to being an early 2nd. The range of outcomes is going to be so wide on Chuba. Okay, so now Trey Sermon going off the board at the 302. I do like that Trey Sermon selection, even with those those tier 2 running backs not necessarily being my cup of tea, but we do have Trey Sermon actually ranked at the 302 in our rookie rankings. And right now, it looks like we are probably going to end up going to the tight end position, as No Capsules takes Pat off the board. Now, I think you can go with Brevin Jordan here. I know we have been on record saying that usually taking tight ends in your rookie drafts is a bad bet, because even when they do have very impressive rookie seasons, generally their value doesn't skyrocket. I know a lot of people want to say, hey, if Kyle Pitts goes and meets or exceeds expectations his rookie year, he's going to be valued like a Travis Kelce. But if you play Dynasty for a very long time, if you just look historically, really that has not happened. But where you can make a profit with these tight ends in Dynasty is taking the guys in the third, taking the guys that have the profile to possess upside, even if the floor is not necessarily going to be extremely high. Players that fit this mold, or guys that came out of nowhere. A George Kittle was a third-round pick in 2017 when everybody was all over, including myself. I don't want to act like I was smarter than anyone. Was not drafting George Kittle. What I was doing is I was overpaying for David Njoku. I was overpaying for O.J. Howard. Those tight ends that were going off the board at the 106 and the 107 in that 2017 NFL draft, where the people that made the massive profit, they were taking a guy with some upside later on, not necessarily making that significant investment in a player like George Kittle in the third. Okay. So Dakota is saying Mac Jones is just boneless Kirk Cousins. Yeah, with Mac Jones, if he comes anything close to Kirk Cousins, I think that this was a great pick at the 205. But, I mean, it's hard to say that his floor is even that high. I think Kirk Cousins is kind of best case scenario for Mac Jones, to be completely honest. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad pick at 205. I have him ranked there. But we can be realistic with the rookie expectations that we have. Okay, so Charlie says, I wouldn't touch Chuba Hubbard that high. His NFL draft capital won't be that good. Outside chance he isn't drafted. Okay, there is no chance that Chuba Hubbard goes undrafted. I will agree that he's most likely not going to get, I want to say top, let's call it 100 draft capital. 100 picks is probably the mark where you're going to be expecting Chuba Hubbard to go behind. I think he's more of a round 4, round 5 guy. And if you look at the historical hit rates, a lot of guys don't pop off from there. Okay, so now let's go through, and Alejandro says, I've got 2 shares of Elijah Moore already, loving him. Yeah, I don't understand why people are getting so excited about Rashad Bateman, getting so excited about a wide receiver like Jalen Waddle. When you're looking at Elijah Moore in the SEC, 150 receiving yards a game, has the 40-yard dash time to go along with it, something I wasn't even expecting, to be honest. I think Elijah Moore right now is probably going to be my most owned rookie this year unless something drastic changes. Okay, but anyway, let's end this mock draft. I hope everybody was able to participate. I hope everybody was able to take a screenshot. Let me go over real quick, delete this draft, start a new one, and then we can go and get some more people in it. I'm going to be doing it just like we were at the last one, where if you want in, please shoot me a DM on Patreon. Please let me know. Say, hey, Mason, can I get in this mock draft? And then I'll get you that link out right away. And then afterwards, whatever spots we have left, I will go through and I will send in the general chat. But please, guys, go through. And if you are supporting the show on Patreon, shoot me that DM ASAP. I will get y'all the link so y'all don't even have to leave YouTube right now. So let me just, the link I'm sending right now is going to be Patreon. So bam, sent that out. And as we do this as well, let me get the link out to our guy tracking the ADP data from these drafts. And I want to give Jake James a massive shout out. Jake is someone that has been a part of Patreon for a very long time now, someone that has joined the flock back, I want to say, maybe 2019, maybe a little bit after that. No, it was definitely 2019 that he was in the flock. So thank you, Jake, for all your support. And thank you so much for just being a massive part and a massive contributor. Also tracking this ADP data that is available on Patreon. But anything else we need to do? Did we get him that link? Looks like we did not. Okay, perfect. Sent that to Jake. And let me send it out on Patreon. Then I'll get whatever spots are left for the people in the general chat. And then at the end of the stream, what we will be doing is I will be making sure that people can come through, and everybody that's in the general chat right now will have a shot at getting in, where I won't even send it out on Patreon. I'll just send it for everybody that's been hanging out with us all stream. Okay, so it looks like we should be good on that front. Let me see if we have any questions in the general chat right now while we wait. Okay, so let's see. Mark is saying Elijah Moore to the Green Bay Packers would be so nice. Yes, that would. Honestly, I wouldn't agree with that fit until we saw the 40-yard dash time, because I'm going to be honest, whenever I made that video about Elijah Moore, just kind of drooling all over him, calling him one of my favorite rookies in this class, I wasn't expecting him to come out here and run a sub 4.40. I mean, that was just a pleasant surprise where now he fits on so many different NFL rosters where we know the Packers, the one thing they need is they need someone that can stretch the field a little bit, someone that can provide that speed, because outside of Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they really don't have that on that offense. So yeah, I completely agree. I think Elijah Moore to the Packers would be nice. Elijah Moore isn't going to be a first-round pick. He just doesn't profile that way. I think what we are going to end up seeing is we're going to see him go in the mid to late second where the Packers could be looking wide receiver. Okay. Charlie says, I believe a lot of fantasy players will have a decision between Elijah Moore, Kenneth Gainwell, and Michael Carter Jr. The decision for me is easy. We're going to be going with Elijah Moore. Now, I did say that on Patreon, we are going to be moving Kenneth Gainwell up our rookie ranking slightly, but there's no way I can end up moving him ahead of Elijah Moore. Okay, Noah said he shot us a DM on Patreon. Noah, let me go over to Patreon real quick and make sure that I'm getting you this link. Okay, perfect. Noah, I do not see your DM on Patreon. Ben, please shoot me another one. That way I can get you your spot in this mock draft. Okay, Alex is saying, I think people are sleeping on St. Brown as well. I've seen him go as low as the 211, 301. I'll say with St. Brown, I think what we are going to end up seeing in Dynasty is a lot of people that got burnt by Equanimeous St. Brown, maybe just wanting to avoid his younger brother. Because if y'all don't remember back, I believe it was the 2018 NFL draft, Equanimeous St. Brown was actually a lot of people's top 3 rookie wide receiver. A lot of people were all in and wanted to call him a sure thing, someone with a ton of upside. Then in the NFL draft, he ends up going day 3 to the Green Bay Packers because there are reports saying he won't play special teams. He won't even stretch. If y'all remember, y'all been playing Dynasty that long. I mean, there was a report that was saying his dad was telling him it was like a LeVar Ball situation, that tigers don't stretch after they chase down a gazelle or something crazy like that. So why should he have to stretch before a football game? Okay, Lil Dobby coming in says, can you do a non-superflex just one time? Yes, we are going to be doing a 1 quarterback mock draft at the end of this live stream. Do not worry, we're going to be doing 1 quarterback as well. But I prefer superflex, not going to lie. So we are going to be making sure we do superflex first, to be completely honest. Okay, Noah, got you that link out right now. Perfect. Now, let me make sure that Noah can join. Once Noah joins this mock draft, I will get the link out for everybody else in the general chat who has been waiting. Okay, so Mark is saying apparently A.J. Brown is pushing Tennessee to take him. That would be another great fit for Elijah Moore. I know they brought in Josh Reynolds, but Josh Reynolds has been really disappointing ever since coming out of Texas A&M, where he was never able to get going with Los Angeles. And I know a lot of people want to say he was just parked behind 3 solid wide receivers, but if you look at him, and he had opportunity. I mean, you are not going to make that many excuses whenever there were wide receivers ahead of him, like a Brandon Cooks 2 seasons ago that was suffering from a concussion, and he had the chance to see the bump up in snaps, and really there was no production there to begin with. All right, but let's send this link out right now in the general chat for everybody to come in here and take those last few spots, and let's see if we have any other questions. So Alex is saying, so a potential Robert Woods 2.0. Very sorry, man, not necessarily knowing exactly what you're talking about. Nicholas, I see your message on Patreon. Let me read this real quick. You're saying, I was offered Kittle for the 101 in my start 3 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends league. It's 2 PPR for tight end, and my current tight ends are Hawkinson and Gesicki. Is it worth it or not? Okay, man, this is interesting. I will admit that. Like I said before, I don't have experience playing in a start 3 quarterback league. I can only really try to imagine what the value market is going to be like. I have played in a lot of 2 tight end leagues before, so we do understand that. But, oh man, this is kind of pulling at my heartstrings. I'll say that you still want Trevor Lawrence here because not only is it start 3 quarterbacks potentially, but it's a mandatory start 2. So if you don't have, at the very minimum, 3 quarterbacks to go through the course of the season, that team has no shot at taking down the title. It would be different if it was start 1 quarterback and then 2 super flex spots, but because it's 2 quarterback spots, then a super flex, I think the demand is just going to be so high that you literally just have to sit on your hands and you go, I am not trading Trevor Lawrence until I get everything I want. I need every player in the deal because he's the top 5 asset, man. I mean, he is extremely, extremely valuable. In that format, I think that what you would end up seeing in a startup draft is potentially the first 14 or 15 picks would have to be QB. Okay, so let's see if this mock draft has been filled. Okay, we have one more spot, guys. Y'all want to go in there and join, we can get this sucker going. And also, let me switch over the screen real quick. And if you have not already, guys, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. It helps us out so much. And yeah, let's just get this going. It looks like that last spot was filled. So let's begin this draft. I'm going to be picking at the 102. That way I can just make the easy selection and then commentate over everybody else's selections. I want to give people a chance to really show what they are thinking. So here, Trevor Lawrence goes off the board at the 101. Now, if you look at our rookie rankings on Patreon, we are going to have Travis Etienne here at the 102. Travis Etienne, just everything about the profile I love. You look at the fact that he continuously progressed in the receiving game for Clemson as his career went on. We all knew that he was a track star since high school, so really didn't have to focus in on his athletic profile. And at his pro day, he comes in at a much better weight than we are expecting. So Travis Etienne at the 102, we can get very excited about that selection. Justin Fields in this rookie mock draft goes off the board at the 103. Now, here, this is what we're going to have to figure out. We're going to have to figure out what are the 49ers doing, because if the 49ers are going Justin Fields over Trey Lance, then I think y'all are right. I think we need to be moving Justin Fields up our rookie rankings. I think Fields possibly jumps Harris like we took him in the last rookie mock draft, and we could consider taking him over Travis Etienne at the same time, because name a better situation that a quarterback could find himself in. Name a better situation than Kyle Shanahan, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. I genuinely cannot think of one. Obviously, you have places like Kansas City with Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. But even then, I mean, George Kittle, maybe this is just a factor that I am extremely biased in his direction, viewing him as the best and most talented tight end in the NFL, looking at not only what he does as a receiving tight end, but as well as an inline blocker. So Justin Fields, if he lands in San Francisco, that's going to be extremely exciting. I could see the argument of having him in the same tier as Trevor Lawrence. Okay, so now let's go through and see if we have any other questions in the general chat. Okay, Joseph saying, gotta make it linear again. Yes, sir. Let me fix that real quick. I have no idea why Sleeper does this. Okay, I'm going to have to pause the draft 1 second, so please understand this. Okay, and let's switch this to linear. Okay, perfect, and resume draft. There we go. Sorry about that, guys, but for whatever reason, Sleeper always does that. Okay, so people in the chat are saying that St. Brown is good at everything, great at nothing. And I know that is something that people wanted to say about Elijah Moore at the same time. I will say, when you come out here and when you talk about a wide receiver having so-and-so upside versus another guy, I think that is where we may tend to get a little ahead of our skis, may tend to be a little bit overconfident with our abilities, because, yes, it's very useful to try to identify the wide receivers that have the elite alpha upside, that if things break right, they could end up being league winners. But in reality, we have such a hard time evaluating wide receivers coming into the NFL to begin with. If you look at the hit rates, regardless of if you're looking at Dynasty ADP, regardless of if you're looking at draft capital in the NFL, it's a very volatile position where I think I would rather just be looking at median projected outcomes rather than just straight up upside. Okay, so now let me expand the screen a little bit, make sure that everybody can see it. Let me know if I can change anything with the setup, guys, that would make it a little bit more visually appealing for y'all. But Javonte Williams going off the 109, Kenneth Gainwell going at the 110. So we have back-to-back drafts where Kenneth Gainwell is going at the end of the first. Now, I said we were going to have to move him up our rookie rankings, and I can't get him up this high. I will admit that, where, yes, after his pro day, there are a lot of people excited for good reason to go along with it. But I'm unsure that if we can get Kenneth Gainwell up to the first round. I still want to be taking players like Rondale Moore, Rashad Bateman, even Elijah Moore ahead of Kenneth Gainwell. But let's see who ends up falling to us at the 202. If you look at our rookie rankings, we have a clear pick here. If he ends up falling one more selection, we have a player that is ranked ahead of Jalen Waddle, ahead of Kenneth Gainwell, ahead of Javonte Williams. So if we can end up getting him here at the 202, that's something that we could be very excited about. Okay, so we're on Zeke Quan. Let's go. Let our guy drop. Come on. Also, guys, let me know, who would you be drafting at this pick? who is the rookie that you are looking at? Is my answer, the answer is simple. I'm sorry, in my mind, the answer is simple. Come on, let's see it. It looks like this may be our first timeout. Really hope it's not a timeout. If it is, hopefully it's Rashad Bateman. Okay, Rashad Bateman, that's perfectly fine. Rashad Bateman was highest player in ADP. Rashad Bateman was most likely going to be the pick regardless. So there we are going to be going with Rondale Moore at the 202, someone with an elite athletic profile. I mean, I don't even need to talk about it. Everybody has seen the Twitter clips. Everybody has seen the numbers. But with Rondale Moore, what I will talk about is his height, because that's going to be the number one polarizing thing. And I will say, if this was the NFL back in 1990, if this was the NFL back in 2000, 2010, where wide receivers like Brandon Marshall were dominating, then yeah, I mean, Rondale Moore would not be anywhere close to this for me, because back then it was a lot more important to win at the catch point rather than just possess elite level athleticism, possess that elite level speed, and be able to create separation and generate yards after the catch. Now, that's kind of the name of the game in this year. I'm sorry, not only this year's NFL, but this generation's NFL, with the rule changes with how defensive backs can cover wide receivers. So because of that, I'm a lot less worried about Rondale Moore at the catch point. I'm completely fine taking him here at the 202 with what he was able to do at 18 years old. Okay, so now let's go through, and Alejandro says, ask my league mates what he wanted for A.J. Brown, and he wanted the 101, and Dobbins in a 10-team, one-quarterback league, start 8. Okay, yeah, no, man, that is way, way, way too much. I mean, if you're looking at a 10-team league, I think you can make the argument that J.K. Dobbins himself is ranked ahead of A.J. Brown. So, yeah, please do not be doing that, my man. Okay, so, yeah, Alejandro also saying that he would have gone with Rondale Moore at the 202. Let me know if that's something that's an easy selection where y'all wouldn't really even have to be thinking about it, or if there's anybody else that would go with possibly an Amon-Ra St. Brown, an Elijah Moore, a Kadarius Toney, a Mac Jones, a Terrace Marshall, because I don't want to sit here and act like I am the smartest man in the room. There are over 70 people in this live stream right now. I am sure there are people watching this stream that know more than me, that are smarter than me, and I want to hear your opinion, so let me know in the general chat. Okay. So Alex is saying, what happens to Wilson if San Francisco takes him? We would see him vault up to being the guaranteed 102. I mean, that's going to be a very easy question to answer. I will say I would be extremely surprised if Zach Wilson went to the 3rd pick overall. I think he is going to go at the 102. If you look at all reports, I don't care about Corey Davis saying he signed to play with Sam Darnold. I mean, that means nothing. That is not something that we really need to be looking into. Okay, so now let's go through, and Joe saying he makes throws off platform, though. I like his pro day yesterday. He could easily have some rushing upside, just some. Yes, obviously that's a thing that we need to discuss with Zach Wilson. And I know people want to look at a Zach Wilson and just assume that he doesn't have any rushing upside at all, where that's not the case. Zach Wilson can be the player like Joe Burrow, can be someone that has that sneaky rushing upside, where he's not a Drew Brees, he's not a Tom Brady, he's not someone that's going to see less than 20 rushing yards in a season. So I think you could see Zach Wilson getting up to 200, 300 rushing yards with 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns, which does give him that access to an elite ceiling if he is everything that he's been sold to be with his arm. All right, so now let's go through and look at what we're going to be doing here. I think maybe we go with another tight end here. If we were looking at our rankings, it looks like the highest ranked player that we have available is going to be Pat. So if we pull him up real quick, I really want Sleeper to get more information on these player cards, but it's whatever. Coming out of Penn State, we understand that Penn State is a school that every single year produces elite level athletes. I mean, Mike Gesicki just came out of Penn State, 6'5", 260 pounds, prototypical size. I think that he is just getting a little bit overshadowed by Kyle Pitts right now, because Kyle Pitts is that elite level prospect where, like I said in the last video, in the 3rd round, I'm fine taking a tight end with upside, just because at that price point, you can afford to sit there and wait and let them develop. Okay, Alejandro is saying Fields plus X equals Stafford plus X. Okay, so I will say Justin Fields is an easy player to rank ahead of Matthew Stafford. Really don't need to be thinking about that too much, just because Justin Fields has more rushing upside. Justin Fields is significantly younger and will have a better long-term job security. And if he ends up in San Francisco, I mean, I think you can make the argument for him as well having a better overall situation. So if you're going to be adding anything to that deal, you're going to be adding to the Matthew Stafford side. And personally, I think that would be a pick that is outside of this range where you could get a Devontae Smith. I think most drafts you're going to end up having Devontae Smith go at the 110 and Kenneth Gainwell go a little bit later than this once we get the NFL draft capital. So if you could take the 111 and Matthew Stafford and move over to Justin Fields in a traditional 12-team Superflex league, that's something I would like to do. Okay, so Alex is saying Kadarius Toney scares me. He needs to improve his hands, and I think playing with the freak nature Pitts made his life easier. Yeah, with Kadarius Toney, if you look at analytics guys, analytics guys hate Toney. They have no interest in him at all. But on the other hand, if you look at film guys are all in on Kadarius Toney to the point where a lot of people think he's going to be a late round 1 NFL draft pick, early round 2. So it's going to be a little bit dependent on the crowd that you're playing with in your Dynasty League. I think he's going to be one of the most polarizing players this offseason. Here he went off the board at the 205. We actually have him ranked at the 204, and I'm assuming that if we keep this ranking of him at the 204, we would end up with a lot of him. Okay, so now let's go through and let's see if we have any other people on Patreon wanting to get in this next mock draft. Okay, so let me copy this link over for y'all right now. That way we can get more people DMing us on Patreon. So guys, please, 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 if you want in this next mock draft, shoot me that DM on Patreon. And let me pull up this mock draft board to get us started. And how long have we been live right now? Okay, how about this? Y'all have absolutely destroyed that like button. We're closing in on 50 likes on the live stream. So I'll do 2 more mock drafts. We'll do 1 more Superflex, and then at the very end, we'll do 1 single quarterback mock draft. So yeah, let me send out this link, and because we're going to do 2 more this mock draft, I will make sure we still prioritize the people that are messaging on Patreon. They'll be the people that get the links first, and then whatever spots are left over, I'll send it out in the general chat. But let me grab this invite link and start sending it out to the people DMing us on Patreon. Okay, sent it out to Noah, sent it out to Nicholas. Perfect, perfect. Let me also go over and send this out to Jake James, just in case he wants to hop in this next one. And I'll send it out to our man Tia Kappa at the same time. Okay, so let's go through, send that out. Okay, Jaywiz asking us how to join a mock. Man, Jaywiz, please shoot us that DM on Patreon right now. I'm going to be prioritizing those people in right now. And afterwards, I'll get it out to the people in the general chat. Okay, in this draft, I'm going to be taking the 106. And a quick thing I want to talk about is, I know I made a video a while ago saying that the 109 was a pick I was very interested in trading for. Now, in Superflex leagues, I think you can move that to the 106 as a separate tier. And that at the 106, it's going to be a nice pick because you're going to guarantee yourself one of the top 4 quarterbacks or one of the top 2 running backs in Travis Etienne and Najee Harris. So the 106 is a pick that you're going to have an easy decision to make, to be honest. Still really like that 109, 110 area, especially if Javonte Williams ends up getting that draft capital. But it's going to be dependent on the price, of course. Okay, so Aaron coming in says Nico had the same quarterback as DK and AJ, sat out last year with more bad Michigan quarterback play and could have hurt his value. We have seen DPG come out and produce some at the NFL level despite low draft capital. I will say with Donovan Peoples-Jones, man, that you can't really point to him. He was a 5-star prospect going into college. He was someone that was, I believe, the #1 ranked wide receiver going into Michigan. So yeah, the quarterback play there is absolutely horrendous, and Donovan Peoples-Jones did get very poor NFL draft capital. But for him to kind of have flashes in his rookie season, we have to understand that he is an elite level athlete himself. I mean, if you pull up Donovan Peoples-Jones and what he was able to do at last year's NFL Combine, I mean, he pops off the charts. To go along with this, we also understand that so many things happened in Cleveland that created a path for Donovan Peoples-Jones to get that opportunity right away. And that is very, very unrare for that to happen to a day 3 wide receiver. So you can think whatever you want to about the rookie coming in this year, but pointing at Donovan Peoples-Jones as a reason to be extremely excited is something I don't think we can do. Okay. Mark is asking, DeVonta Smith almost outproduced Tony's freshman numbers in the first half of the Natty. Yeah, I will also say DeVonta Smith himself has pretty bad freshman numbers, but not going to focus in on that. I make a video where we dive into DeVonta Smith and we excuse away his lack of production early on in college. That should come out probably tomorrow. Very excited about that video. Okay, Kevin asking, will Gainwell ever surpass Williams in the standings? No, Javonte Williams is going to have to be someone that is ahead of Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, even though I'm not a massive fan of Javonte Williams, usually I'm just not a fan of him because we have some people saying that he's better than Travis Etienne, which, I mean, literally pains my soul whenever I hear that. But we can still sit here and say objectively, probably going to easily say that Javonte Williams over Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, so I'm sending out the link to join this mock draft right now. So please come in and join. And like I said, because y'all absolutely destroyed that like button, because we've had some people subscribing to the channel, we will do another mock draft after this one. So this one is going to be Superflex. And then the one afterwards will be a 1 quarterback mock draft. So we can kind of cover all bases for everyone. Okay, so now let's go through. And Alejandro is asking us, do we sleep? Man, short answer is it's Saturday. I am a college student and I woke up at 5:30 this morning. So the answer is no. We just grind all day, every day. And that's our life right now, but it is what it is. So let's go and see if we have any other messages in the general chat real quick that we can answer before we start this mock draft. Charlie says, without Waddle's injury, Smith doesn't win the Heisman. When he went down, he had more yards and the same TDs. Yeah, man, that's a very small sample, though. I think that it's fun to sit here and it's fun to act like we can play God and we can say what would or would not happen. But I think it's just more important that it did happen. And that's what I'm going to want to focus in on. Okay, so let's get this mock draft going. Like I said, the reason I took the 106 is selfishly, I wanted to make sure that we were going to get one of those top 2 running backs or top 4 quarterbacks because it makes our life easier. Don't really have to sit here and think about it too much. And it's not going to pain me to see someone decide to go with Kyle Pitts or decide to go with the Jamar Chase over one of those quarterbacks or running backs. Okay. Derek is saying, do I have to be a Patreon member to mock with you? Not necessarily. You can just hang out in the general chat. And like I said, usually what I end up doing is I come out here and I let Patreon people get in first. They have their spot guaranteed in the mock drafts. Usually we have about 7, 8, 9 people joining from Patreon, and we have a few spots left over from everybody in the group chat. I'm sorry, the general live chat that has been hanging out. Then they can come in. But Alejandro coming out with another donation saying purely for the respect of the grind. Thank you so much, my man. That is absolutely massive. Thank you, man. Okay, but anyway, let's pull this up real quick. Let's draft Trey Lance here at the 106. And Trey Lance going to be someone with literally unlimited upside. If he comes in and if he is just an above average passer at the at the NFL level, then we go with his rushing production go along with it. He is a guaranteed top 10 quarterback, guaranteed. And then if he comes in and if he's more than an above average passer, if Trey Lance is actually a great NFL passer, then we go, he has top 5 upside. I mean, Trey Lance could be a fantastic pick here at the 106. But God, y'all are going fast. We have Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Javonte Williams, Rashad Bateman. Here, Bateman, this is the highest he's gone in any of these mock drafts. And I will say, this is probably what you're going to find in a lot of other channels. This is probably what you're going to find with a lot of other audiences, and that's Rashad Bateman going ahead of DeVonta Smith. Now, I am on record saying that if anybody, I don't care who you are, if you want to make a bet with me, I will. DeVonta Smith outscores Rashad Bateman year 1. Anyway, let me pause this draft real quick and let me switch this over, okay? That was really poor by me, like we have to always do. I don't know how I always forget it. And then let me remove this pick as well. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're going to resume that. But yeah, like I said, guys, DeVonta Smith, you have to take him over Rashad Bateman. I understand that You don't like to see the wide receiver come out after 4 years. You want him to come out after 3. I understand that DeVonta Smith is an outlier with his size. These are things that I dive into the video that comes out tomorrow. But DeVonta Smith is a better NFL wide receiver than Rashad Bateman. I promise you that. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. So if you have any doubt that I will, make sure you shoot me that DM and we can work something out right away. Okay. But anyway, we are going to be on the clock in 2 picks. Probably going to be looking at wide receiver here. If you pull up our rookie rankings, there's a clear guy that we are going to be looking at. Okay, so come on. Let's have him fall. Jake, pass on our man. Takes Elijah Moore, snipes us on Moore. So, yeah, now we're going to have to go down 1 tier. We're going to have to go to our next wide receiver, which is going to be Tylan Wallace, someone else coming out after 4 years, but he has the injury excuse that we can point to. And we have another donation. Alex P coming out says, because the grind told me to. Thank you so much, my man. That is absolutely massive. Y'all made my day. Trust me, I was having... I don't want to get into it. It's been a very, very, very rough day. So thank you, my man. That means a ton. But anyway, we're going to take Tylan Wallace here. We're going to have Pat going off the board at the 207. I believe this is the highest he has gone in any of these mock drafts so far. If we look at where we have him in our rookie rankings, we have him at the 211, so not that much higher. Now, I will say Chuba Hubbard, because of the upside, I know the floor is going to be non-existent. Chuba Hubbard could be washed out of the NFL in 2 years, and nobody's really going to be surprised. But I can't be surprised either if Chuba Hubbard ends up being a running back 1 at some point. So because of that, I think we would prefer to see Chuba Hubbard go a little bit earlier than this, probably right after that Tylan Wallace pick, but I can understand not wanting to go with Chuba because of his floor being so low. Okay, so let me check the general chat real quick, try to catch up on some of the questions. Charlie asking, does Etienne's plumpness at his pro day worry you? He truly looks soft. Guys, this is what I was saying. I kind of got into like a little bit of a scuffle on Twitter about this. The number one thing that annoys me with this time of year is people looking at pictures, looking at videos of players, and trying to critique their physique, like as if that matters at all. Please, guys, don't sit here and look at Travis Etienne on video and look at him going, oh, it looks like he has some water weight. It looks like he's a little soft. No, that doesn't matter at all. All that matters is athletic numbers. I mean, please, this isn't a bodybuilding show. I don't know how many times we have to talk about that. Okay, so let's see if we have any other... Austin saying, I'd make that bet. If you win, let me come on the show. If you win, you get my best Pokemon card. Austin, let me know how much that Pokemon card is worth, and we can be talking, my man. Okay, so Charlie is saying, despite the issue with Smith's weight, I do worry about his longevity, but his route running is the best I've seen in a long time, and that includes Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, in 2019, when both wide receivers were true juniors, you actually had DeVonta Smith outproduce Jerry Jeudy. But anyway, I will say, yeah, man, Austin, if you are serious about wanting to bet me that you would be taking Rashad Bateman, I would be taking DeVonta Smith in raw overall fantasy points scored in 2021. If you want to make that bet, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Discord, whatever you want, and we can work something out, my man. You can come on the show and you can talk about why I was wrong, how stupid I was, and I'll sit here and I will take it. I am completely fine making that. Okay, Austin said he's DMing us on Twitter. Okay, perfect. We are going to be up in 1 pick here. I think we're possibly going to be looking at the wide receiver position. If we go over to our rookie rankings, if we are looking at the best wide receiver available right now, obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown falling to us would have been very nice, and Dyami Brown as well. But I think here, possibly we go with the Seth Williams. The Seth Williams is someone that doesn't get a ton of buzz, but if you look at the projected NFL draft capital, he's actually surprisingly supposed to get drafted at a very high mark, maybe near the end of the 2nd round, beginning of the 3rd. So if you're ever going to get a player like that at the 306, that's something that we can look at. Okay, so Graydon Fitness asking us, Superflex 10-team league of the 102 or the 105, 201, and the 202. You take the 105 side, because here at the 102, you're probably going to be looking at a Travis Etienne, a Najee Harris, a Justin Fields, a Zach Wilson, or Trey Lance. I don't know who you want. But at the 105, you're going to get one of those players regardless. And then the fact that you're also picking up the 201 and the 202 in a 10-team league, that translates over to the 111 and the 112 in a 12-team league. So that trade right now would have been Najee Harris for Zach Wilson, Rondale Moore, and Devontae Smith. And obviously, you want the 105 side of that deal. Okay, but anyway, looks like this mock draft is close to being done. So what we're going to do is let's let the Germinator make his last selection. Then I will come over and we will get a 1 quarterback draft set up, and it will be our last mock draft of the day. But I want to thank everybody so much for coming out here and supporting the show. It has a massive, massive impact on me. I promise you all that. I definitely feel a lot better whenever I go down there and see all of the positive support that y'all are showing. But Alex is asking, do you think Michael Carter has any chance on landing with the Chiefs? Yes, but if he lands with the Chiefs, I mean, I don't think you can get that excited, because you could say, hey, he's going to be in a committee. He can take touches away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But at the end of the day, we know that that team isn't having a ton of rushing volume to begin with, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't productive himself last year, so not too excited about Michael Carter landing on the Chiefs. He'd be bumped up the board a little bit, but it's not like Michael Carter lands on the Chiefs and then he's all of a sudden the running back 3. Okay, now let me end this one. Let's go over and set up a 1 quarterback mock draft. And also, guys, just spam the chat right now. Let me know what y'all prefer. Like, let me know if I should be even bothering with this. Just spam 1 QB or spam Superflex. Let me know what you prefer. Let me know what you play in, because I only play in Superflex. I really don't like 1 quarterback leagues. They're boring. There's not that much strategy. You just pretty much draft the best running backs available, and that's the end of it. But with Superflex, you have to actually sit here and think about it. You actually have to sit here and think about what your next move is going to be. But anyway, looks like this should be set up. Let me make sure we are going to be switching it to linear. And I'm not going to be sending this in Patreon. We are just going to be sending this invite link out in the general chat for everybody who's made it this long in the live stream. Okay, so let's grab this invite link. Okay, so it looks like Nate saying, even though I'm not a Patreon member, thanks for letting me in the mock. No, man, thank you so much for coming out, hanging out during the live stream. It means a ton. Ben is asking, we have James Robinson in the rookie draft this year, Flock 5. Where do you take him? Thanks, Mason. Here, it's going to be completely dependent on landing spots for these rookies. I'm going to be honest, man. Definitely can't take him ahead of Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. Can't take him ahead of the top 4 quarterbacks. So in Flock 5, I think at the earliest I would take him, despite whatever landing spots we see, would be the 107. But if we see some nice landing spots to the wide receivers or Kyle Pitts, then I think he falls lower than that. Okay, so now let's go through and sending out that link in the general chat. So if you want to come through and join this mock draft, make sure y'all go in that link. Not going to be sending it out on Patreon or anything, just sending it out in the general chat for everybody who's hung out with us so long. And also, let's see if we have any other questions. Looks like we answered all the questions. So usually we don't get to all the questions. So I'm happy to see that I was able to help everyone out. And guys, please, if you have not already, drop a like on the live stream. It helps us out so much. Okay, Charlie is saying his 1 quarterback mock prediction. Harris 1, Etienne 2, Chase 3, Williams 4, Devontae Smith 5, Waddle 6, Pitts 7, Lawrence 8, Bateman 9, Gainwell 10, Rondell Moore 11, Elijah Moore 12, 13 Carter. I think Carter is going to go a little bit later than that. I think Lawrence is going to go a little bit later than that. I bet Gainwell does as well. But like I said, maybe I'm just missing the boat with Gainwell. Maybe I'm moving him up my rankings, but I'm not even moving him up enough to be able to find him anywhere in my rookie drafts. Okay, so 1 spot left. This will probably be taken in 5 seconds, and then we can get this stuff started. Okay, let's start this draft. Okay, so it looks like it's like half and half with people saying Superflex or 1 quarterback. So yeah, I'll definitely continue to do these 1 quarterback mock drafts for y'all. I will say Superflex mock drafts are still extremely useful for people who play in 1 quarterback leagues, because all you have to do is remove the quarterbacks from the first round, and you have that 1 quarterback draft. But Najee Harris going off the board at the 101. So here in a 1 quarterback league, it's either going to be Harris or Etienne. Probably dependent on landing spot with the first overall pick. Has to be a running back. I guess maybe you could make the argument if both of these guys find themselves in horrible situations and Ja'Marr Chase finds himself with the Cincinnati Bengals, then you could make the argument for Ja'Marr Chase being at 1. But I find that very, very unlikely. So here we should see Travis Etienne go off the board at the 102, which does indeed happen. Also, guys, please spam the general chat real quick. Let me know who y'all are drafting at the 101 in a one quarterback league. Let me know if it's Harris or Etienne. Let me know if you're going to go somewhere crazy. But Javonte Williams at the 103 ahead of Ja'Marr Chase. Was not expecting that in the slightest. I mean, respect for you. Go get your guy here. We're going to get our guy in Devontae Smith at the 105. And I just want to point out the fact that, guys, a one quarterback draft picks are going to be worth significantly less than a Superflex league. Just look at this. Devontae Smith in a lot of these other mocks was going at the 111, 112, and now he's going at the 105. Ja'Marr Chase is at the 104. Javonte Williams is at the 103. So you have to understand that if you're playing in a Superflex league, your 111 is worth equivalent to about the 104, the 105 in a regular Superflex. I'm sorry, in a regular one quarterback league. So if you're getting into Superflex or if you are possibly getting into one quarterback for whatever reason, please understand the difference between the two. Okay, PT is saying Najee Harris is his 101. Yeah, I understand the excitement around Najee, guys. I can't get behind it. And what I definitely cannot get behind, and I want everybody to listen to this closely, you cannot be drafting Trevor Lawrence at the 106 in a one quarterback format. Now, if this is going to be a format that is just, say, 16 teams, then I guess you can make the argument with the supply and demand that Trevor Lawrence would be worth that 106 pick. But no, he needs to be going behind Rashad Bateman. He needs to be going behind Kyle Pitts. I mean, the easiest example that we can point to is, guys, who's more valuable in Dynasty? Between, let's go the quarterback, just say the quarterback 2 in a Kyler Murray, or the tight end 2 in a George Kittle in a one quarterback league. Now, between that, I personally would easily have George Kittle over a Kyler Murray in a one quarterback league. So if you're going to be drafting these guys and you think that they have top 3 upside, I'd rather go with the tight end that has the top 3 upside over the quarterback. Okay, Aaron is saying Javonte Williams could be his number 1. Man, Aaron, that's another bet that I would be willing to make if you think that Javonte Williams will outscore Travis Etienne this upcoming year. Hit me on Twitter. Hit me on Discord. Man, we can wager whatever you want, my man. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Actually, let's not focus in on that. Let's focus on Justin Fields coming here at the 111. Now, this is the range where I think you should have Trevor Lawrence going off the board. And I will say, one thing that makes Trevor Lawrence very nice in Dynasty is the fact that you draft him, and I don't want to be talking crazy like you have him for 15 years or anything, because if that's how you're playing Dynasty, you're going to end up losing. That's a very difficult thing to do, to project someone that far out. But what's actually reasonable is to say, what is their value going to be in 3 years? Not just their production, but what is their value going to be like in 3 years? And with Trevor Lawrence, you can almost guarantee, regardless of if he has early career significant injuries, that he's going to hold a significant amount of value, that he is going to have that high floor, kind of being a safer option, where in a one quarterback league, that's not really something that you value that much. In a one quarterback league, I definitely prefer just the raw upside because the position's easier to replace. I mean, you need someone with a high floor in a Superflex league, because if you dump your early first-round pick into a Trevor Lawrence in a Superflex league and he doesn't pan out, then that's going to be a very hard thing to make up. But in this type of format, in a one-quarterback league, then you can look at these QBs and go, you know what, we're just kind of shooting for upside here, and that's all that really matters. Again, Nathan's saying Travis Etienne to the Bills would make him the 101 in a one-quarterback league for me. Oh, guys, Buffalo would be a very bad landing spot for either Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. Please don't be viewing it like that. With Buffalo, the thing that you hate to see is this is what happened with Cam Newton all those years in Carolina with his running backs, is that what you're finding is you're finding the fact that you're going to have Josh Allen taking away so many of those rushing touchdowns at the goal line that he kind of handicaps the overall upside that you can expect from one of those wide receivers. I'm sorry, for one of those running backs. So yeah, I would hate either Najee Harris or Travis Etienne in Buffalo. This is also a team that didn't want to run at all, and you can make the argument it's because they had Devin Singletary and Zach Moss as their top 2 options. But still, I think that would be a very bad landing spot. Okay, here we're going to be taking Tylan Wallace. Don't want to talk about him too much because we did in the previous mock draft where we took him, outside of the fact that I think that if he did not suffer the significant injury in college, if he came out after his true junior year, I think Tylan Wallace would have way more buzz and a lot more people would be talking about him. Okay, Aaron is saying Javonte Williams to Miami in round 2. Man, yeah, that would be a great landing spot. Miami is the dream landing spot for any of these running backs, especially now that they are just continuing to make extremely smart decisions. I think that that's an offense that you kind of want to bet with for the long term. You kind of want their feature down running back over the next 3 or 4 years because the front office has put that team in a great position where, yeah, I mean, if Javonte Williams went to Miami in round 2, where I previously said that I wouldn't be that excited about him and I wouldn't be drafting him that much, if he finds himself with that NFL draft capital combined with that landing spot, Javonte Williams, who is currently my 12th player ranked in this rookie class in Superflex leagues on Patreon, he would easily jump up. I mean, he would have to pass, I want to say, almost every wide receiver outside of Jamar Chase. He would be ahead of Devontae Smith, ahead of Rondale Moore, ahead of Jalen Waddle, but that's going to be something that is hard to predict. Okay, now here, Trey Lance at the 210. Now, this is exactly what I was talking about in a one quarterback league. If you're going to be investing into a QB, I want them to have elite level upside. That's what Trey Lance possesses. So I think at the 210, that is a perfectly fine selection. I definitely prefer having Trey Lance over Trevor Lawrence if we were talking about these prices. And the best way that we can look at that is we go, okay, if PT decided to pass on Trevor Lawrence, if he instead went with Kyle Pitts, then he could have gotten Trey Lance in the second instead of Chuba Hubbard. So he walked away with Trevor Lawrence and Chuba Hubbard instead of possibly Kyle Pitts and Trey Lance. And I definitely would prefer Pitts and Lance over Trevor Lawrence and Chuba Hubbard in a one quarterback league. Now, if it's Superflex, it's completely different. But here, I think that's what we're going to be going with. Okay, Kadarius Toney going off at the 301. Now, really like that value with Kadarius Toney. I think that's going to be a player that we're probably a little bit overweight on this offseason just because we look at Kadarius Toney and we go, you know what? He's probably going to get the NFL draft capital. Who cares if the dynasty community is split on him? He should have an opportunity to start his rookie season, and he should have an opportunity to increase his trade value. Okay, but anyway, I will point out Mac Jones at the 303, kind of the opposite situation of Trey Lance. I mean, you could make the argument that Kirk Cousins is worth an early third in a one quarterback league because he doesn't possess that elite level upside. So if you're going to be investing into a player that his top end range of outcomes is at Kirk Cousins, I think you need to be a little bit worried about where you are doing so. Okay, so it looks like we possibly may be going a little bit off the board here. I know people are probably going to be screaming at me to take someone. The thing here is, do we really want Kylin Hill? Because Kylin Hill, we don't necessarily know where he is going to get drafted. Seth Williams is someone that I could be looking at. I think we're going to go Seth Williams. I mean, he's going to get the NFL draft capital. I know that people are not going to like the pick. I know that people probably prefer Kylin Hill, but I don't care. This is my mock draft. We're going to be rolling with what we want. Okay, Charlie is saying too high on Brevin Jordan, Tylan Wallace, and Chuba Hubbard. Brevin Jordan at the 203. Whatever. Here, Tylan Wallace, I really like Tylan Wallace at the 205. Man, Charlie, let me know why you're not a big fan of Tylan Wallace at the 205. Like, who would you have gone over that pick? Oh, shoot. Oh my gosh, guys, I am so dumb. I did not even see Elijah Moore at the 207. I would have easily gone with Elijah Moore over Tylan Wallace. RIP. RIP. That's all I got to say. Okay, Charlie's saying too low on Diami Brown. Wouldn't it be great to get drafted by Titans, Brown and Brown? Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Or we have Elijah Moore going to Carolina. You have DJ Moore and Elijah Moore. Moore is probably the most, actually no, Brown's probably the most common name of any wide receiver in the NFL. But that's kind of besides the point. Okay, let's see where Kylin Hill ends up going off the board, because I think that is who we would have projected to be that 305 pick if we were just talking pure ADP. Kylin Hill ends up going at the 308. I'm completely fine with that pick once you have Seth Williams, Sage Surratt, and Tamarian Toney all off the board. Yeah, Charlie's saying he would have taken Moore before Wallace. Man, I promise you, if I would have seen Moore, if I would have noticed that Moore was still available, I would have taken him ahead of Tylan Wallace as well. Okay, but 4 picks left. Jamar Jefferson going off at the 309. I like the fact that these secondary running backs are falling down slightly. Tutu Atwell going off at the 310. Atwell is someone that I think people are going to be disrespecting a little bit, as he's also a player that I'm projecting to go high in the NFL draft, someone that I think is going to get the opportunity to start in year 1, possibly increase his trade value. Okay, so let's see if we have Okay, Abby is saying, is Trevor Lawrence a lock for the 101 in a Superflex league, even if another quarterback gets a great situation? Trey Lance at the 49ers. Man, that's going to be the hardest thing to answer this offseason. Point God actually shot me that DM on Patreon a few days ago saying, hey, what happens if Zach Wilson actually falls to the 49ers at 3? I mean, who would you rather have in Dynasty? Zach Wilson on the 49ers, or would you prefer having a Trevor Lawrence on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Even if Trevor Lawrence is a way better NFL quarterback, even if he is the way better prospect, I think at that point you kind of have to be a little bit hesitant going all in one way or another. But thank you guys. I really appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out with me during this live stream. I appreciate everybody dropping a like, subscribing to the channel. It makes a massive difference. And yeah, I'm going to continuously be updating our rookie rankings on Patreon. And if you have not heard, guys, I want to remind everyone, those teams that are available for the current Flock Patreon leagues, I am making sure that all of them are half off for this upcoming year, because the ones that are left over aren't necessarily the best. So if you're wanting in a Flock league, half off, also get yourself an original Flock Patreon tier. Make sure you shoot me a DM on Discord. Make sure you shoot me a DM on Twitter, wherever you want. We can talk.